Welcome to FX Street. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go over Algorand. Before we do that, I would encourage you to head on over to YouTube, join our channel by hitting that subscribe button, and follow us on Twitter at FXS Crypto. Taking a look at Algorand. Algorand, I mean, it's been, I don't know what you want to say about it. Beaten down, indecisive. Really, it's kind of displaying the same type of a setup here that you see across a lot of the altcoin space. Attempt to form a bottom between that 90 and 95 cent range, really hugging the price levels just below $1. And ultimately, that's really where, if you want to see Algorand have a little bit of support come into play, you're going to need it to get to roughly that $3 level. That would put it above the daily Tenkan Sen and Kijun Sen, and above that 618 fib retracement. That would be the ideal setup there. From a weekly perspective, I mean, and oscillator wise, it is positioned in a very neutral spot. The optics bands are neutral. The composite index, it's had a bullish cross above its fast and slow moving average, but it's actually sitting in neutral territory. And on the relative strength index, it's still in bear market conditions, but it's sitting in fairly flat zones as well. Go over to the weekly chart. You can see we're below the cloud for the fourth week in a row. Don't want to have a close below the cloud, especially where the Chiku span is at. This could initiate an ideal bearish Ichimoku breakout, which could signal some very, very, very deeper, like much deeper, moves lower. The thing is, though, that the oscillators really don't support that right now. The optics bands are at an all-time low on the weekly chart. The composite index is about to cross above its fast-moving average. So there's a lot of mixed signals here. And oscillators need to support price action, not the other way around. So, the technicals here on the candlestick chart within the Ichimoku system show very, very strong bearish signals. And even though the oscillators show a little bit of a mixed signal that there's not a lot of room lower to move, you should still look at the likelihood of downside pressure being greater than upside pressure. The only way to really eliminate a lot of the bearish outlook here and bearish expectations is to have a close on the weekly chart that brings it back above Senko Span B, or the bottom of the cloud. And that would have to be around that 103, 104 zone. And that would be a significant move to begin with, because if it could achieve that, it puts it within or up slightly above this massive cluster of resistance in that 103 to 104 zone, because you've got the extended 2021 volume point of control at 105. You've got the 618 retracement at 103, Senko Span B at 103. So getting back inside the cloud would put it, would limit the amount of downside expectations that would occur. One thing that makes me bullish on the entire thing, including what the oscillators are doing, is that there's some pretty big gaps now between the bodies of the weekly candlesticks and the Tenkan Sen. One of the things with the Ichimoku system that's kind of, I don't know if it's really anomalous, but it's a behavior, is that, the Ichimoku system represents equilibrium and balance. And that's just kind of the focus of Japanese analysis in general. And when things are out of flux, they tend to correct fairly quickly with the Tenkan Sen. So gaps between the bodies of candlesticks and the Tenkan Sen, they don't often last that long, and they often correct within a max between 4 to 6 periods, which is where we're kind of with the weekly chart. So a mean reversion setup back to 132 seems very likely in the short term. So keep an eye on that. As far as downside risks, they could be significant. They could be as little as retesting the 2022 lows at 80 cents, or coming back down to test the next high volume node, which is barely a high volume node, at 50 cents. And the upside potential is likely limited to that $1.30 zone until we revisit this again next week sometime. But that does it for me on Algorand. Thank you all for watching. From all of us here at FX Street, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.